Thank you, thank you. Good afternoon, Tachchen, as you say here in Berlin. Welcome to Berlin and to the start of IFA 2023. And it's finally happening. Yes, the world's best trade fair for consumer electronics and home appliances is getting underway. And some of you will have attended one or two press conferences this morning already. I understand this is kind of a stressful day for you, but now it's time for the big picture. To get the hard data about the state of the industry, to see all the facts and the figures and about the IFA itself, and to hear what's new and different this year in the halls and the outdoor places all around the Berlin iconic Funkturm at this place. And first you will hear from Dr. Sara Warneke, the Managing Director of GFU, the industry organization that owns the IFA brand. And she will tell you how the tech industry has been firing after coming down from the huge spike in demand during the pandemic. And next up will be Oliver Merlin, the Managing Director of the IFA Management GmbH. And Oliver and his team had less than a year, but they worked tirelessly to make IFA 2023 happen and to keep all that's good about IFA and add new ideas to make it even better. And at the end, we will have time for questions, of course, to make sure you have all the information you need. And therefore, there is a QR code, which should be displayed right behind me. Exactly. This will take you to a Slido page where you can submit your questions to Sara, Oliver, and the new CEO of IFA Management GmbH, Live Erik Lindner, in case, well, don't worry, we just give you all the time that you can scan that code. If you need any access to the Wi-Fi, it's Wi-Fi Messe Berlin. Just log in as a guest. This should provide you network access, and therefore you can scan and also download the Slido app, which will be absolutely necessary if you want to provide all your questions. And that goes also to you there at home or at your offices who are following this stream currently. If you want to have any kind of, if you want to add any questions, Slido, that's the way to go. So, all done? Are you just streaming yourself, so it's not that you're scanning the code anymore. I just want to make sure that you say like, that's done. Host at the IFA didn't give me enough time for that one. But now you had them, because let's get going. So please, Sara, join me on stage. Hi. Welcome. It's kind of odd welcoming you to your pretty much like your very own party here at this point. And in less than 10 months, just to get all the IFA here all together, that must be kind of exciting after all.
I'm very exciting. IFA is my favorite time of the year. I'm looking forward to meeting all the familiar faces and also new people. And I really love the buzz in the halls and to see innovations and new products. I'm looking very much forward to that.
But honestly, in between us, do you even have time just to try out all the little gadgets, or is it really just about meeting and talking and
I take some time to walk around the halls. I do.
Well then, the stage is yours. Sara.
Thank you very much, Patrice. And indeed, a big hello and willkommen to you all. I'm thrilled to see you all here at the Messe Berlin exhibition grounds, because it means it's IFA time yet again. And I know I'm speaking for the whole IFA team when I say we can't wait to get started and to give you the full IFA experience, and we hope you feel the same. In a moment, the Managing Director of IFA Management, Oliver Merlin, will give you all the facts and figures on this year's IFA. As you will know, IFA is going through a transformation. Our starting point, of course, was the fact that IFA is one of the world's most successful trade shows. But the world is changing. And during the pandemic, change was speeding up. The importance of technology on our lives grew dramatically. This changed our way of how we live and work, but also had an impact on trade shows. So we looked at how IFA worked and works. We asked our stakeholders how their expectations were changing. And then we started to look for additional partners to shape IFA's future to the demands of our stakeholders. We found this partner in Clarion Events. Clarion is one of the world's leading organizers for events and trade shows. So, as you know, GFU owns the IFA brand, and Clarion has the expertise to take this brand into the future. So, in November last year, we came together and set up IFA Management GmbH, which is now in charge of organizing and running IFA Berlin. Under the leadership of Oliver Merlin, a team of around 40 people was rapidly built. The new IFA management really got stuck in from spring this year. And here's our common aim. We want to take the IFA experience to the next level. Everything that's great and successful about IFA will continue, of course. But we also we need to add new experiential elements. And Oliver and his team have done an outstanding job in getting this evolution, this transformation underway. During the next few days, you'll immediately see the difference that they've made. Of course, we'll also continue our long-standing partnership with Messe Berlin. Despite the changes, IFA's place continues to be in Berlin, in the city of Berlin, and right here at Messe Berlin. Speaking on behalf of GFU, I'd like to say a big thank you to the team of IFA management, and especially to you, Oliver. You've done a fantastic job making IFA 2023 a success. Please, let's give it up for him. I would also like to say thank you to my own team at GFU. You pulled out all the stops and supported IFA 2023 to the max, on top of your day jobs. Just one more thing worth mentioning before I'll do a deep dive into the data. This year marks the 99th year of IFA. In other words, next year, 2024, will be a big one. We will be celebrating IFA's 100th anniversary. Birthday, not anniversary, birthday. It is fitting that we are going through this transformation now, capping a full century of IFA, so that we can start the next century fresh and with lots of new ideas. So, okay, here's the bit that you've been waiting for. How is the industry performing in the market, and what are the big trends? I'm very grateful to our partners at GfK. We are collaborating closely on many projects, and once again, they've supplied us with key data and context for this presentation. Thank you very much. So what's the state of the play? I have three words for you: volatility, uncertainty, and complexity. As a result, we see a lot of change, and there are highly diverging trends in local markets. And yet, despite all this, overall the market of consumer electronics and home appliances is pretty robust. The pandemic triggered a huge demand for products and services of our industry. People had to work from home, and they wanted to turn their homes into personal cocoons to stay safe and sound. So during 2020 and 2021, many consumers invested to better equip their homes. Today, though, there are plenty of negative factors impacting the market. The energy crisis, climate change, inflation, and many other political and societal issues affect people's daily lives. So no wonder that many consumers have become cautious and rein in their spending. Yes, the global economy is recovering, although slowly. However, in many markets, demand has yet to return to normal. In Europe, the consumer climate continues to do poorly. Whether it's expectations for the economy, personal income, or willingness to buy, they are still pretty low. Much lower than in 2020, and yet things are looking up. We have already experienced the low point all the way back in 2021. And during 2022, we saw a modest recovery. So what's happening in the markets today? Globally, inflation stands on average at 6.6%. The result has been a cost of living crisis. During 2020 and 2021, the pandemic triggered extraordinary growth. Consumer demand soared, but once that was met, markets obviously were saturated. We've all lived through it. We were stuck at home, and so we spent money to make home life as comfortable as possible. New energy-efficient appliances replaced the old. Living room TVs had to stand in for local cinemas and the concert hall. So people bought TV sets with larger screens, higher resolution, and better sound systems. Now, though, our world has returned to near normal, even in countries that once had the most restrictive COVID rules. People have started spending again, but they first want to catch up on travel, eating out, and going to sports and cultural events. And then there's one more issue. When demand suddenly dropped, manufacturers and retailers saw stocks pile up, which put pressure on the prices. All these effects have an impact on the numbers, of course. During 2022, so-called technical consumer goods saw global sales of more than 1.3 trillion US dollars. That's a drop of 6.9% compared to the previous year. But I want to make a really important point here. Last year's global sales were still 9.3% higher than in 2019, the last normal year before the start of the pandemic. So overall, the last 3 years up to 2022 saw really quite extraordinary growth. Now, let's look at this region by region. Only the emerging economies of Asia continue to see significant double-digit growth. Other regions like Latin America, the Middle East, and Eastern Europe are overall stable. Only China, developed Asia, Western Europe have seen a sharp drop of around 12%. One thing worth noticing here, all market data are based on US dollars at fixed exchange rates. Exchange rate fluctuations may give you slightly different trend rates for individual markets. So keep that in mind. Now, if we look at the big market trends in tech since 2019, we can see 4 distinct phases. First, pre-COVID, we had a slight downward trend. Next, we saw huge growth during the first 2 years of the pandemic, with sales soaring more than 13%. As restrictions eased, however, demand suddenly dropped. But then in November last year, we saw the beginning of a turnaround. Markets stabilized and normalized. They stopped shrinking. So let's break this down by product category, year on year and compared to 2019. With the exception of consumer electronics and the photography sector, all product categories have higher turnover than before the pandemic. The biggest winners are the IT and office segment and small domestic appliances. Now, let's look at the past few months. Between January and July this year, most segments continued to see falling sales. Small domestic appliances did fairly well, while telecom and major appliances saw a drop of about 5%. You'll notice one exception. We registered healthy growth for the photography sector. And yet, if you look at the numbers in total, overall sales continue to be really high. But there is not a clear trend right now. The fact is, every region is different. Eastern Europe recorded the sharpest decline of more than 19%, while the Middle East and Africa saw growth of 4.9%. So what does this all mean? Here's our take, compiled jointly by GFU and our partners at GfK. Firstly, in these days of uncertainty and crisis, consumers are looking for trust, and that favors big brands. The price of products may be volatile, but trust is something that's gained over years, and once it's achieved, it takes a lot to displace it. If you want to observe the value of brands and brand trust, just walk the halls of IFA. where you will see many exhibitors enjoy extraordinary levels of trust. Secondly, the sustainability of products is more and more becoming a key reason to buy, especially for younger generations. Sustainability must be more than a marketing claim. It has to be a measurable benchmark, and the more brands achieve, the better. And yet again, when you walk the halls of IFA, you will see how far our industries have come in this regard. Thirdly, fewer people are looking for upgrades. Most people just buy replacement devices, and this is in line with a broader trend. Devices tend to be used for a longer period than before. And finally, customers are looking for great design, premium quality, and usability. Brands that focus on these three factors see their sales roar. During the second half of 2023, we expect a return to positive growth, and IFA will do its part to drive this growth. After all, IFA is the world's most important trade show for consumer electronics and home appliances. And it's taking place immediately before the most important shopping period of the year. So I wish you a great, a fantastic, and a fascinating IFA 2023. I hope all the products and innovation will inspire you. Have a great IFA experience. Please now help me welcoming on stage the Managing Director of IFA, Oliver Merlin.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you're all well, and thank you for taking the time to join us for this press conference. My name is Oliver Merlin. I'm the Managing Director of IFA Management GmbH. I'm going to talk to you about a few of the key facts and figures of IFA this year, and a few of the new key elements and features you'll no doubt want to see and report on and discuss. Before I do that, however, I really need to, in a nice way, take Sara to task. Thanks very much for making things a bit emotional. Now you know this was perfectly pressed before, and now I've had to use it to. The thanks actually go the other way around. Just so you know, managing and running a show like IFA is an incredible duty and a responsibility, and obviously it's a huge trade show, as you all know. But it's also an absolute honor, and it's been a privilege. So on behalf of myself and my team and everybody at Clarion, would like to thank you for choosing us and giving us this opportunity. It's really been an incredible ride so far. We can only hope that we have repaid your faith, and what you see over the next few days is something you'll be proud of and something that we can take forward. So before I get too emotional and really need my pocket square, let's dive into some facts and figures. So I use this word trade show very advisedly, and I firmly believe that IFA is the best trade show in the whole world for consumer electronics and home appliances. Bar none. We really think that that is true of us in the world. Now, the trade show is a concept that Sara has already discussed, can be limited. And whilst we must always massively maintain that platform and maintain that position, we also need to add a few things on. So during my presentation, you'll see a combination of what you know and love, the traditional manufacturers and the trading opportunities that you see and that you respect IFA for, along with some new bits of magic, as I like to say, that we have added along on the side. The first thing to say is, and I hope you'll all agree with this a fantastic achievement, I would like to take credit for myself, but IFA 2023 is completely sold out. Thank you very much. It, of course, is not me and it's not my team. It's IFA and the enduring importance of IFA to the consumer electronics and home appliances ecosystem around the world, and the love and the fondness of which IFA is held in. So as you go around the show, you'll see it's very busy and indeed packed with lots of products that you know and love from your past, but also new innovations that you will no doubt enjoy. A few facts and figures then. We had, as you may or may not know, I know some of you who've been here for many, many years, there are 27 halls in IFA. We were not given one hall, so we sold out 26 halls. In fact, there's about 40 halls, right? Because there's 1.1 and 1.2 and so on and so forth. But actually, of the main halls, 26 halls, all completely full. So look forward to seeing that. Right. IFA is a very big show. I'm looking at some footwear down here, and I see some dubious footwear, some good, comfortable footwear. You will do a lot of walking. Okay, we've been doing some tests of how many steps our people have been doing here for the last few days. We're counting 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 steps. So it's a big place. 130,000 square meters is quite a lot of space. So make sure you wear the appropriate footwear. We have over 2,059 customers at IFA this year. I haven't been around and counted every single stand, but if you were to do that, you would get 259. And that's from nearly 50 countries around the world. And I think that's important to think about for a moment. Okay? Number one, face-to-face is back. And number two, finally, travel wariness and travel restrictions are really starting to reduce, and people's comfort with traveling is coming back. And we see that reflected in our customers. And you'll also see it reflected in our visitors. And visitors are coming from literally all over the world and in very big numbers. This, of course, is a projection, and we'll update you with the final figures after the show. Now, one of the great things that's happened this year, and one of the things that I was very, very keen to do very early on in my role, was to secure the support of the traditional customers at IFA. And you can see by this, in this graphic, that Miele, Bosch Siemens, Panasonic, Samsung, LG, all continue to support IFA and use IFA for their marketing and business development needs. This is a very important slide. I want to just draw your attention to the graph, if I may. As an organizer, it's very, very important to make sure that lots of familiar names, brands, faces, because after all, business is built on relationships, and you're all here also to meet people that you know from before and meet new people. The new side of things is very important. Those of you who have seen my press conferences throughout this year will have known that we're aiming for this 30%. Earlier on in the year, the new business was around 26, 27, 28%. Gradually, it's got up to 30. What that means is with IFA, you'll see we have a healthy balance of the core of customers that are very familiar to us. And then each year, at about this ratio, this percentage, we add a bunch of new customers. So the 30% is customers that have never exhibited at IFA before, new customers to us. And I think that's very important. It's a sign of a healthy show, which is really good. I want to talk to you a little bit now about a few elements that are new or that we have expanded upon over the last 7 or 8 months or so. The Sustainability Village is completely new. I'm sure I don't need to tell you, you're probably more informed than me on this, just how big sustainability has become as a topic this year. I like to think of it in this terms, in terms of the decision-making process that consumers go through. I would say even only a year or so ago, sustainability was at maybe number 4 or number 5, right? Behind the price, behind the brand, behind the quality of the product. Now, sustainability is 1 or 2. And if you don't believe that, I'm sure a lot of you already do know that, ask the consumers. We asked all of our customers this year, and they said absolutely they get told the same thing. And all of the retailers and the buying groups absolutely said us the same thing. The one thing that consumers ask about when they come in is this. And this, frankly, if I'm being completely honest, took us aback a little bit as organizers. We thought this would be a very important, interesting content stream, but actually this has turned into such an important topic. I would say maybe alongside AI, this has been the 2 biggest topics this year, that we have created a whole physical space. In Hall 2, you will see a stage where we will talk about various sustainability topics. You will also see a mend and repair shop, which is a very exciting activation, which I'll talk about also in a little minute, and an exhibition area, several thousand square meters of a lot of our major customers exhibiting and also new customers talking about the sustainability story. Sara mentioned it. It's increasingly important. I'm sure I don't need to tell you. Please go there and check it out. It's a very cool new development for IFA. And these are some of the speakers, including people from Decarbonize and Damn Plastic. But actually, this is just a very small selection. And this is the repair shop. So on the 2nd of September, we've partnered with a local repair shop here from Berlin. Please, again, highlight this area if you can. We think it's going to be very busy. Effectively, people can bring their broken or otherwise in need of some attention tech, not mobile phones, but other smaller household items. I don't imagine any of you that have flown in have brought your washing machines or anything like that. But smaller items like hairdryers, like game controllers, things like that, can be brought to the mend and repair shop and repaired on site. And we think this is a feature that we'll carry on doing and should be a lot of fun. IFA Next. So I think most of you will know about IFA Next. IFA Next is a startup and innovation zone. It's very important as IFA as we compete internationally with other trade shows that some of you may know. I know we've got some of our US colleagues here. As we compete with CES and people like Mobile World Congress, they have very strong innovation and startup zones. And one of the things I was keen to do was to invest some time and money and effort into expanding IFA's startup and innovation zone. So we're going to have around 350 startups there this year. Of course, that's not the whole story. We'll also have a content stage talking about various topics that are relevant to the startups and their ecosystem. And we have over 200 investors registered, who you'll see, and they have their own lounge. Please, again, go to this area. You'll see it vastly expanded on what we did last year. This is the content stage. So IFA Next has its own 5-day contents, including pitch battles and how to relate to corporates and so on. And this is visuals of what it will look like. Okay, and then in this room, in a couple of days' time, we'll start 2 days of top-level content, I would say TED-style level content, on a variety of topics. Day 1, roughly, is AI and gaming, and day 2 is much more about sustainability and health. But I please hope to see as many of you in this room as possible, because the level of speakers that we've got is truly phenomenal and is a really, really nice addition to IFA. Here's just an example. So you have Ivana Bartoletti, who is from Wipro. You have Steve Collins, who's the CTO of King. You have Angie Gifford, who's very senior at Meta. And you have Professor Chris Miller, who's probably the world's renowned authority on chip manufacture, which is obviously a very hot topic right now. And again, that is a tiny selection. You can imagine over the course of 2 days, many speakers, many panels and discussions in this room. Berlin Tech Week. Again, some of you who've seen my press conferences throughout the year will have heard of this. This is an idea, really, to create a little bit more of the feeling of a festival in and around the city. So away from the Messe, largely, as you can see there is a VIP drinks at Soho House. Those of you who know Berlin will be aware of Level, LVL. It's a gaming emporium where on a Saturday afternoon there'll be a whole gaming afternoon along with discussions and talks about the future of gaming, and an AI sprint at the Merantix campus, amongst other things. And I think and I hope that this will grow over the coming years so that really Berlin can compete with all of the other international major festivals by having a festival in and around the city. The House of Robots, again, this is really, really directed at consumers and obviously kids, but there's also a serious message around this, which is, you know, how do the future of robots develop, okay? And some of the robots we've got are absolutely world-leading. In fact, one of the robots is going to play a DJ set back-to-back alongside Anio at the opening night. For those of you that are fans of the Berlin nightclub scene, you'll know who I'm talking about. And now, some key highlights. Excuse me. So, I know some of you are on the inside track of this already, but Honor are going to do an exclusive keynote on the 1st of September at 10 a.m. Be here if you can. There's going to be some exciting news. I obviously cannot reveal any details whatsoever, but I think probably, again, some of you are better informed than I am. So be in this room. I know that some of you are already invited. Similarly, an hour later, Hisense are going to do another exciting presentation as well. As you know, they are sponsors of the Euros, which are going to happen here next year. So again, no details from my part, but again, come along and see them in this room on the 1st at 11 a.m. Now, I'm very excited about this. So on Monday, they actually get very busy at the weekends now. FC Union Berlin, who used to be a second division team, okay, just a few years ago, made it up to the Bundesliga, which is the first level, for those of you who are not German, the first level of football or soccer in Germany. And now they're in the Champions League. And so this is a real inspirational story of the rise of success and what you can do with great teamwork. They're coming, 15 of their players, plus the coaching staff, are coming, and they'll be available for photo opportunities, merchandise signing, and so on and so forth in the IFA Outdoors area, so in the round summer garden outside. We're very excited to have them. Now, two new and strange names. The shy and retiring Elon Musk has allowed SpaceX and Tesla to join us. Tesla would not give us a logo or a picture of any cars, but rest assured there are 3 Tesla cars here that you can go and check out. And SpaceX will be demonstrating their Starlink satellite technology. So just a couple of things I wanted to pick out for you to check out. I know that some of you in the room are influencers with huge followings as well, but I also want to pick out 3 that you can check out. So Abir is from the Middle East. She has 22 million TikTok followers and produces some amazing recipes. She's a cook, and she'll be doing live demonstration and also talking. Diana, I'm sure a lot of you know. She is on the German equivalent of Shark Tank and is going to be giving a keynote speech on innovation. And Kwebbelkop is a YouTuber and gamer who has over 15 million followers on YouTube. So he's going to be talking about the future of gaming, content creation, and AI. Please try to catch these guys if you can. They're all in various spots. In fact, Diana and Kwebbelkop will be here. Kwebbelkop will then be going to the IFA gaming area. And IFA Outdoors, what is the summer garden, is going to have 3 main elements. The pictures that you see behind me are the co-working space. So Mindspace, who you may know, very kindly set up co-working space outside, fully electric, fully Wi-Fi. If you don't want to sit or it gets too stuffy in the press center, please go and use this space outside. If it doesn't rain, it will be really nice. That's also where the sports teams will be, so IFA Union Berlin, and also we're invited Victoria Berlin and maybe some other sports people hopefully to come along. And also will be an outdoor food festival with food trucks and so on to enjoy in the garden area. Lastly, but not least, one very quick slide on the 100th year. So 100 years next year. As you know, it's been a lot of hard work to bring IFA 2023 to you. But in the last few weeks, we've also started planning on IFA 2024. And indeed, my successor is here and will join us on stage shortly. And we've already developing some huge plans. I'm obviously not going to reveal anything now, but there will be various announcements in the coming weeks and months. So that's all from me. Thank you very much for your time and attention. I hope you've seen some great things that you want to look at and write about and report on. And look forward to seeing you around over the next 6 or 7 days.
Wow. Well, thank you first and foremost, Oliver, because this is quite impressive. It's quite a lot. That only within less than 10 months.
It's been a few things, yeah. We pulled a couple of all-nighters.
Cool. So please stay here with us at this moment because we're just about to come to your questions right now. Just as a quick reminder, I hope that we just can have the QR code once again on the screen. So this is your access to the Slido app, which will actually gonna give you the opportunity just to talk with all the speakers here on stage just in a few minutes. And just to set that in, so people can scan down. I mean, this is very brave, very bold of you, inviting FC Union over here in Charlottenburg for us Berliner. It's a big thing, trust me.
Yeah. Well, I did a poll of the team at the beginning, my team rather. I said, I'm new in Berlin. Do I go for Hertha? Do I go for Union? And we have some very big Union fans on my team, and it had to be red. Normally I go for blue teams, but here in Berlin my team is red.
Well, okay. Well, then I'm looking forward because I'm a Berliner. As long as Berlin wins, I'm always into it. That's how I see it. But again, this is going to be now about your questions. The Q&A is going to start right now. Therefore, I kindly ask back to the stage, Sara, please join us again here on the stage. And a live Erik Lindner, who will take on the job of running IFA from October this year. Welcome to the stage, live Erik Lindner. All right. So, Sara, are you happy so far at this point?
I am, thank you.
Okay, because I was kind of worried in the beginning because really so much is going on. Even I'm overwhelmed. Nobody of you really mentioned that I'm also going to have a panel discussion here about diversity here on this screen, but it's fine. It's okay. I just did the shameless plug at this point, so I'm ready now for all the questions that are coming in. So at this point, just expecting any of them, like any minute, but in the meantime, live, as you are like new now on the stage at this point, I hope that you at least are a bit excited now. I mean, as a Berliner, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yes?
Yes.
So is there anything happening now for 2024? Are you kind of preparing like the big birthday bash for the IFA next year?
Yes, of course. We will build on the success of IFA as the most important platform for consumer electronics and home appliances. IFA Next means startup and sustainability will continue to be topics for us. Artificial intelligence and digital health are high on our agenda as well. Overall, though, we really want IFA to start the next century as an event that is much younger, more agile, and most importantly, more visible than ever before. When you visit IFA next year, you can look forward to even more events and experiences. After all, when people come to an event like IFA, they don't just want only information. They also want to be inspired and entertained.
Well, that's what we're here for.
That's right.
But again, I have to nag a bit because I'm kind of a journalist. So what will be like the most important to you in 2024?
Yeah. We really have to continue to rebuild the IFA brand with strong communication. Cooperation and communication. We also want to work hard to cooperate with all of our partners, not just the exhibitors, the trade partners, but also Messe Berlin and the State of Berlin, other trade fairs and brands beyond our industry, and of course you, the press. The team this year has effectively just 8 months to get everything ready. They did a really great job, but obviously it was a big challenge. There are plenty of learnings and insights that will flow into our preparation for 2024.
And anything else that you would add on, especially when it comes to exhibitors, when you tell them, like, listen, you need to come over here to IFA 2024, what's your key message there?
So next year, IFA will celebrate 100 years, as already mentioned. And we will turn IFA into a new modern trade fair that's a must visit, especially for the younger generation. There will be plenty of events around Berlin, and that will get us more footfall directly to the IFA. We will also make sure to cover all topics that are full on trend. But what really be the salt in the soup? The products. That's what people come to see, so we will highlight 100 products that are at the edge of innovation. Next year, IFA will take place from the 6th to the 10th of September, here under the Funkturm at Messe Berlin.
Looking forward to it. The thing is, like, for those of you who are not from Berlin, the whole time I'm just expecting actually Günther Jauch and Thomas Gottschalk to return for a show here, but it's something that we're going to discuss later. I do have actually the first question for you, and also please, you would do us a great favor if you also would comment who exactly you're asking the question to whom. So here are you happy with how many companies have come to Berlin to exhibit at IFA? That's a question, open question to all three of you, whoever wants to answer. Sara?
I can start. Oliver already mentioned it. We are sold out. All the halls that were available to us are filled with companies. So this is a great success for us. And we have seen great demand across all sectors. And yeah, Oliver might be able to tell you more about those who aren't here this year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we spend a lot of time, unfortunately, every now and again, organizers lose companies and they go elsewhere, they make different choices, right? There are more than one trade show in our area, unfortunately, so we have to compete on that. We've had very good conversations with several companies who we are already pretty confident that will come back for the 100th year, and that really is, I think, our gift. We really need to take advantage of that and really press home our advantage for next year. We have a huge opportunity, I think.
All right. Coming to the next one, also thank you for the provided questions earlier. So now I would like to know, actually, Albert Guesta would like to know, how many of those 2,000 and plus IFA customers are startups?
Shall I take it?
Sure.
350. It's very easy. So any company that's in IFA Next is a startup. We have strict kind of rules and guidelines over who can be in IFA Next. Any company that's not in IFA Next is not a startup. So those of you great with maths, 2059 minus 350.
And by the way, last year we had 137 startups,
Correct.
so the number this year almost tripled.
Yeah.
That was really a quick answer.
Yep.
Do we have? So we did not have any at this
Anyone?
point. I mean, maybe that question like Tower's life, because like everybody's always talking about Berlin being like the capital for startups. I mean, are you already like sensing that this is also going to keep on happening this way, or do you see like also a kind of a change happening when it comes to startups and the evaluation? Because those heritage brands seem to also be interested just to, as you said, gain a momentum and actually going back in the hearts of like the younger crowds, for example.
With the Berlin Tech Week, I think we set a ground for growing that segment, so that I'm quite sure that we will achieve 500 startups next year, because, as you said, everything is prepared to go to areas next year.
Right. Here comes the next one by Jan K. How do your optimistic economic forecasts coincide with the latest forecast of the Munich-based IFO Institute, which is pessimistic for Germany in particular? Wow, that's a tough political question.
So, well, while I was just talking about the global situation, which is of course a little bit different from the German situation, we also talk about the consumer electronics and home appliances sectors. And not only in the pandemic, we saw that sometimes markets don't go all in the same direction at the same time. The consumer and home electronics sectors had a huge boom during those years, whereas in other sectors there was a large downturn. And we already see that the trends, the negative trends that started in 2022 are already turning. So this is what gives us our optimistic forecast. Also, the last quarter of the year is usually and traditionally a pretty good quarter for the whole industry as well.
Okay, so there's a lot happening there. Thank you, Ankai, for the question. Vaclav would like to know, upgrading is decreasing, replacing is increasing. Isn't this an opposite of sustainability and environmental friendly trends?
So yeah, that needs some explanation. Upgrade is when people buy something new before the old device is broken. So it's just being replaced for a new one without the old one actually not working anymore. But replacement means that you actually only get a new one when the old one doesn't work anymore.
But also, isn't there also a kind of trend that sometimes that's something that we learned in a different conference when it comes to that in the future we might not as consumer buy that much anymore, but actually just like having kind of a rent. That seems to be also kind of a new model happening. You recall that?
I recall that, and I think it's also important to say that I think a lot of the customers I've spent my time talking to this year realize that they're not necessarily in a battle to sell the most units, right? They're in a battle to create brand love and affinity. And if somebody loves your product so much that they would rather keep repairing it and reusing it rather than buy something new and go back to the market, that's worth just as much to a product and a brand than than a replacement. There's a real value to that.
So again, a lot of movement happening there. An anonymous question: what are consumers looking for when it comes to sustainability? Is there a contradiction between consuming and consuming sustainable?
No, so the consumers are always looking to have products that are energy efficient. You also have water and detergent consumption on top of that, for example. You also want to use those resources efficiently as possible. So it is not only one resource, but all the resources used for these products should be as efficiently and as sparsely used as possible.
Thank you for the answer. The next one's very interesting because you also mentioned like AI earlier. So technology is evolving, and with the evolving tech landscape, how is IFA evolving to stay relevant and innovative for both exhibitors and attendees? Because it could happen just like that new trends are happening currently.
So I think it's obvious. I mentioned several things about that we will start a more consequent communication with all parts involved. We will definitely also take a look at how could we bring this, how can I say, fair more in the mind of the Berliner, for example, and of course all over the world. In this moment, only 12% of the Berliner knows what IFA is or want to join here.
Really?
According to BZ.
Okay.
And there we had to work on to make it more popular. And I think there are a lot of chances, and we set the ground in this year. And next year we will continue on that, taking a look also what other exhibitions are doing. But again, as Oliver mentioned in the beginning, we are the biggest fair. Maybe others should also look at us, what we are doing.
Bringing back again some entertainment. For those of you not German, Helene Fischer is going to sell tickets as hell. 100% will attend. Next question coming from Ben Lorenz at Oliver. What are you particularly happy about with regards to the 99th IFA? What was the biggest challenge next to the time amount?
Well, that clearly was the biggest challenge. There's never enough time, right? So that really was. You know, we started with a compressed time frame, and you know, really started from nothing. You know, we had no office, no team, no data to start with. So you know, that really was the point of view of, you know, I used to talk about IFA being a startup with a 100-year history, right? So that really was the challenge. And what I'm really happy about is the balance, right? So I had this phrase that I used a few times during other press conferences: evolution, not revolution. You know, I was very happy to get back quite early in the cycle, all of the support from Miele, from Bosch Siemens, from Panasonic, all of the big companies that, you know, without them, we wouldn't have had a trade show, right? And then, through a lot of hard work, we managed to add a little few items that, you know, really we felt were missing, you know, like gaming. Sustainability became huge, AI became huge. So there's a lot of reactive stuff that you do via, you know, largely via the content team, and that's one of the ways we stay ahead of trends, you know. Gaming was an area that we felt was weak, so we've invested a lot in that. So, yeah, the balance, I would say, the balance between, you know, the traditional strength of IFA and what we've managed to add.
Right. Coming to the next one, which is a fair question, to be honest. I mean, after all, it's the IFA in Berlin, but I think like DI could give Kevin an index. Because at the end,
I can understand that.
Warum spricht niemand Deutsch? Why does nobody speak German? Well, actually, we do, but there's a reason why we maintained like English, if I'm not mistaken.
Like here on stage?
Yeah, it's because our Mandarin is very bad, so we decided to go into English, but maybe you would reply to that question.
Yes, this is an international press conference. We want to include everybody who is here. IFA is an international trade fair, so our wish is to include as many people as possible, and usually with English, that's the easiest way to go about it.
This is why I said that Helene Fischer, Thomas Kölscher, Günther. Yeah, exactly. That's a fair applause. Yeah, that's how it should be.
But we do speak German as well.
It depends at the hour and which party we are.
Yeah, and how many beers.
So coming to the next one, Anonymous. If you could pick one product from the last 99 years, what would you pick? And you are not allowed the VCR. All right, that's very particular. That's a question that I'm going to ask each and every one of you.
Can I get two?
Right?
Yeah, gaming consoles, tape cassettes.
Which gaming console? Ooh, I see.
God, there are so many. Nintendo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I would pick the TV, which is a German invention by one of our shareholders, Löwe. It was presented first here at IFA. Yep. That's one of mine. And then the CD, which was also introduced here at IFA in the 90s. That would be my second
That was also the
device.
IFA.
Yes.
When the Netherlands and the Japanese actually came together.
Yeah. Tony.
LCD flat screen and of Walkman.
Oh, Walkman. Nice.
Walkman. I'm Team
Very
Walkman
good.
for that matter.
There's three audios.
Coming to the next one. Will the IFA stay in Berlin for the next years?
One of you two.
Oh, okay.
Who's?
That pause was way too long.
No, I think this has been communicated to the public pretty abundantly. We have signed a contract with Messe Berlin, and our plan is to stay for the next 10 years at least.
Yes.
Well, I think that's... Yeah.
Great.
Come on, Berliners.
So we still have this question remaining there. Oh, there's the next one. Ben Lorenz would like to know, the topics of artificial intelligence and sustainability are absolutely in focus. What role did these factors play in the selection of the startups? We pretty much kind of like mentioned that before, but maybe you just want to elaborate?
Yeah, not much at all. Not much at all. We encourage startups in almost all fields of tech, actually. So hopefully when you go and see, you'll see crazy, wacky things. You'll see hopefully one or two ideas that might change the world. We know that half of these startups are never going to make it, right? That's not the point. The point is to ensure that people see IFA as a place where you can come and see innovation. Yeah, not just the same old product year after year, where people, both the entrepreneurs but also the corporates and the investors, know that they might just come and find the next thing that's going to change the world.
Yeah, and also, if I would like to add, I think like people still do not really get or understand machine learning and AI, because AI, as creative as it has become right now, is not going to heat up your food. It's actually not going to clean your house, and actually is maybe not really going to entertain the way that you would love to be entertained. So I think it's still a topic that's going to be with us for the next few years. Adding now the question by Marius Neubert. Will there be concert in the Sommergarten as in the last years? He's talking about Helene Fischer, 100%.
Yes, definitely. A concert will return. So we will focus on entertainment. This will be one part of it. And the Sommergarten will be back next year.
Helene Fischer fan.
That's a big concert.
I can tell. We have no further question at this point. We do. It's coming. So we're waiting. AI, what would be ChatGPT? What would be? Okay.
No?
Oh, there it is. That's interesting. What happened to Miss IFA? If I'm not mistaken, she's still alive, isn't she?
She went into retirement.
Yeah. Actually, I think there are several of them. The first one was an avatar, so I don't know what happened to that. But the other ladies, I think, are still up and running somewhere. We decided that the concept of Miss IFA was not a current concept we wanted to repeat, keeping on here. And I see from the applause of the audience that many people agree with me here, and therefore there is no more Miss IFA. But IFA is still here.
She went into retirement.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Actually, the applause was even stronger than my suggestion with Helene Fischer. That worries me a bit at this point. But I think we now have a final question. I'm just going to ask also, like, we're still working on it. Will there be a chance just to have some further question from the audience, or that will be like the final one? That's the final one. Okay, too bad. So Vios would like to know, Vios, the laptop. Some people do remember. Yeah. Is IFA aiming to target more photo video brands, especially now that Photokina is now taking place? Oh, that's very, I mean, it's not Photokina, it's, there's actually Photopia happening.
Yes, we will focus on that, definitely. The same with audio. We lost in last couple of years some audio brands, and main target is to bring them back. Same with the photo brands. So they had to be, and were part of the IFA before, and they had to be and will be next year.
All right. So that pretty much was the last question. Unfortunately, we don't have any time left now for the audience question at this point. So that concludes the IFA Opening Press Conference. So thank you so much for attending. Thank you so much to our speaker, Oliver, Sara, live Erik Lindner at this point. Hope you enjoy your stay here in Berlin, that you have many adventures and also like a lot of information that you can gain from this whole experience here. I will send you guys backstage. You will be back in a minute just for some more pictures for some of the press photographer. But at this point, as I said, this is it. Thank you so much. Have a good time. Stay healthy. My name is Patrice Bouilly-Behler. Tschüssi and auf Wiedersehen. Thank you.